So, you've saved $1 million for retirement. Congratulations. That's a big milestone. But here's the real question. How long will that $1 million actually last? And what happens when you add in Social Security? Does it stretch your money for life, or could you still run out? In this video, we'll break down how the 4% rule works, the average Social Security payout, what your spending power looks like in retirement, and how combining both can extend your financial runway, possibly for 35 years or more. Let's get started. When planning retirement, the most common question people ask is, how much can I safely spend each year without running out of money? Financial planners often use something called the 4% rule. That means in your first year of retirement, you withdraw 4% of your total savings, and each year after that, you increase it slightly for inflation. So, if you have $1 million, 4% of that is $40,000. That's your first year withdrawal. This rule comes from decades of market research showing that a 4% withdrawal rate can usually sustain a portfolio for around 30 years. Assuming you're invested in a mix of stocks and bonds, and markets perform reasonably well. Now, let's add in Social Security, because most retirees don't live on savings alone. As of 2025, the average monthly Social Security check for a retired worker is about $2,000, or roughly $24,000 per year. That's a reliable, inflation-adjusted income stream for life, and it makes a huge difference in how long your savings can last. If you're living on, say, $60,000 a year, and you're getting $24,000 from Social Security, that means you only need to withdraw $36,000 from your investments. That's a withdrawal rate of just 3.6% instead of 4%. That small difference can add years, sometimes decades, to the life of your portfolio. Let's run the numbers. If you're withdrawing 4% from your $1 million, that's $40,000 a year. Your money could last around 30 years before it runs out, assuming modest investment returns. But if you only withdraw $36,000 because Social Security is covering the rest of your expenses, then your withdrawal rate drops closer to 3.6%. Now, under the same assumptions, reasonable market returns and modest inflation, that money could last 35 years or more. In other words, Social Security might add 5 or more years of financial security to your retirement horizon. And if you're a little flexible with your spending, say you tighten your belt during market downturns, you could easily make that money last your entire lifetime. When we say normal retirement age, we're talking about when you can receive your full Social Security benefit. For most people retiring today, that's between 66 and 67 years old. If you start claiming earlier, like at 62, your monthly checks are smaller. If you delay until 70, your checks grow by about 8% per year. So, if you can afford to wait, especially if you have savings to bridge the gap, delaying your Social Security can mean a much bigger lifelong income stream. Of course, not everyone plans to spend the same amount in retirement. Some people live comfortably on less, while others want to travel or enjoy a few luxuries. So, let's look at a few simple examples and see how your spending affects how long your money lasts. Imagine 3 retirees, all starting with $1 million and the same Social Security income of about $24,000 a year. Retiree number 1 spends about $50,000 a year. That means they only need to pull around $26,000 from their investments, a withdrawal rate of roughly 2.5%. At that pace, their savings could last 40 years or more. Retiree number 2 spends $60,000 a year. After Social Security, they withdraw about $36,000, a 3.5% withdrawal rate. That's likely good for 35 years or longer. And retiree number 3 has a bigger lifestyle, about $70,000 a year. They're pulling around $46,000 from savings. That's roughly 4.5%. In that case, the money might last around 28 years. So even a $10,000 change in annual spending can make a massive difference. A little more frugality can buy you years of financial security, and a little flexibility can keep your nest egg alive for life. Of course, no plan is bulletproof. Market volatility, high inflation, taxes, and unexpected medical costs can all impact how long your money lasts. If you hit a bad market early in retirement, what's called sequence of returns risk, your portfolio could take a hit that's hard to recover from. That's why many planners now suggest being conservative with the 4% rule, maybe starting closer to 3.5%, or adjusting your withdrawals depending on how your investments perform. And remember, Social Security is inflation adjusted, so that income stream keeps up with rising prices, a huge benefit for retirees. Here's the bottom line. If you retire around age 66 or 67 with $1 million saved and receive the average Social Security benefit, about $24,000 a year, your money can go a long way. Using the 4% rule, your investments alone could last about 30 years. But once you add Social Security into the mix, that stretches closer to 35 years or more, often enough to cover your entire retirement. The key is keeping your spending in check and being flexible when markets change. Smart planning and steady income make that $1 million work for you, possibly for the rest of your life. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more financial breakdowns like this one.